family road trip to our country house. In the countryside, everything seems better, easier, and simpler. My kids play in the garden and in the woods all day long. Alice, who's 4, loves to pick flowers, wild strawberries, and any weird insect she finds her way. She puts them in a plastic bowl, and she creates an ecosystem to save them from my giant feet. She could play with it for hours. This plastic bowl is the best investment I did this year. And Anne, my oldest daughter, plays house and dress up any chance she gets. We just play all day long together. I wouldn't trade this for the world. These moments are priceless for me. And at the end of the weekend, we're all exhausted, but we had so much fun together. We don't even want to leave the place, so we usually come back to the city very early Monday morning. But about a year ago, on a Sunday night, just before bedtime, I asked my youngest daughter a question, and her answer troubled me a lot. I asked her, Alice, did you have fun this weekend? What was your favorite? Swimming in the waves, riding your bike, or climbing the big tree? And she looked at me right in the eyes and said, Mom, I had so much fun this weekend. It was the best weekend ever. And what I enjoyed the most was playing with the iPad. No, what I enjoyed the most is playing with the iPad? No, not my daughter. So I refreshed her memory a bit. Alice, sweetie, remember yesterday at the beach? The big castle we built together? It was so much fun. Yes, Mom, but I prefer the iPad. Alice, remember this afternoon in the garden? With the water balloons and you got your dad in the head? That was so funny. It was, Mom, but I prefer the iPad. Okay, Alice, remember the popsicle at the beach? Mom, I remember everything, okay? Okay. And I kissed her goodnight. To tell you the truth, I didn't know what to do, what to think, or where to start. But I knew I had a problem. It really bothered me, and I needed to understand why. So just a moment after this bomb Alice dropped on me, I started to stress out. Did I mess up as a parent? Did I mess up as a mother? I knew I was not the first parent to face this, but I couldn't sleep all night. I just stared at the ceiling and searched for answers. Because there's a catch. I'm not just a mom. I'm an entrepreneur, and I create apps for kids. 3 years ago, while the mobile touchscreen madness was happening and kids were grabbing them from their parents, I changed careers. Before that, I owned a successful audio production company for 10 years with 2 partners, Dave and Mike, and we collaborated with the top toys company in the world. For years, we worked on the biggest kids brands and on over 50 toys. And one afternoon, we started talking about the lack of creativity behind apps for kids. The majority of kids apps out there were static, not engaging, not innovative, not really educational, and not really fun. They were simply a bit boring. So kids were downloading adult apps. But these apps were not meant for them. They were not age appropriate at all. We knew we could do better. We could provide better content to parents and their kids. And iDevices were here to stay. Kids were drawn to them. They were at the top of the Christmas list all around the world. It's insane. So we took this dream, invested our energy and our savings, and launched Budge Studios. And we started to create apps for kids. And to our surprise, it really took off. I still can't believe today that millions of kids around the world play with our apps. And Alice was one of the millions of kids that love apps and iDevices. I know that. But how can she love this stuff more than life itself? How can it be her favorite thing on earth? How can she love this stuff more than the little wooden house in the garden I got her for her birthday? That I didn't sign up for. After that sleepless night, I was taking my morning coffee, and I turned on the radio, and I heard one of my favorite songs, Wish You Were Here from Pink Floyd, and it triggered a memory. In the 80s, there was 3 things I loved. Pink Floyd, Depeche Mode, and my yellow Sony waterproof Walkman. How cool was that? But my parents didn't know how to deal with me. For them, I was wasting my life, my time, listening to that Walkman. And even though I had the most loving, caring, and open-minded parents, I could still hear them in my head. What are we going to do? Should we confiscate this Walkman? Are you okay? And they had this slightly wild look in their eyes. And that wild look must have been the same one I was giving to Alice. Overnight, I saw my mother in me for the first time. Overnight, I was not a cool kid anymore. I loved my Walkman, and she loves the iPad. I've been there, and she's going through it right now. I knew I was onto something. That separation I was feeling between my daughter and myself was the fear of the unknown, a generation gap. The iPad launched a year after Alice was born, April 3rd, 2010. She's the iPad generation. That means that at 1, she was more at ease with the tablet than I was. She knew how to open Tab Scroll Select in less than 10 seconds. For her, the world never existed without a touchscreen device. For her, I was a digital immigrant, struggling to understand. The next day, I came across a friend's Facebook wall post. It was a photo exhibit of an Italian photographer, and these pictures resonated. He had the idea of photographing kids around the world with their toys. And after 18 months working on the project, his conclusion was that kids around the world with different cultural backgrounds are pretty much all the same. They just want to play. He also noticed that toys haven't really changed in the past 3 decades. Kids still play with Lego, dolls, teddy bears, cars, dinosaurs. They still read books, draw, and play music. On his journey, he found the type of toys he used to have when he was a kid, and I really related to that. But now we have these devices. So what has changed? When a kid is playing on a tablet, he's now building blocks or playing with a doll in the real world. The form has changed. We need to acknowledge that because it's part of our world too. How many of you have a touchscreen device? A lot of you. We use it all the time to do things we used to do in the real world. When's the last time you listened to music on a record player, a cassette, or even a CD? When's the last time you wrote a letter by hand and went to the post office to send it? For me, it's been a while, but I listen to music all the time. And I write to my friends and family every day with my devices. And that's exactly the same things with kids, apps, and iDevices. Yes, the form has changed. But the foundation of play hasn't changed that much. The essence is still there. Imagination, storytelling, and child play is still very present. And transformation of form and function can be filled with wonder. Play hasn't changed for the past 3 decades. and it's not going to change now. And that was exactly the idea behind Budge Studios. We wanted parents and kids to open the device, the toy box, and find their favorite toy. It could be a sticker, it could be a book, it could be an amusement park ride, a slide and a swing set, a crayon and a paper, and we would add some magic to it, some wonder. Make a kid want to read even more books by making them come alive. Let's add read-along with highlighting text and surprise animation. And you can select any language you want, English, French, Spanish, Portuguese. Let's create the coolest puzzle where you can never lose a piece. And let's add 3 levels of difficulties so kids of all age can play. And the puzzle always change formation so you can play over and over again. Let's create a huge train set that would never fit in an apartment or in a house. And let a kid play with the tracks and the train and even make a train fly. The more I created apps, the more I valued the content. And as a mother, I really feel reassured when my kids play with high-quality content apps. My parents did the same back then. Both my parents were teachers, but in a weird way, they always put more emphasis on play than education, and I never complained. And I remember, they always put the extra effort to choose the right activity, the right toys, at the right time, the right vacation for my sister and myself. Something happened the same week on the Friday to put things in context. My oldest daughter, Anne, started choking while she was in the bathtub. It was really scary and we rushed to the hospital. It turns out she swallowed a plastic piece of a doll dress. We were at the hospital for 6 hours, from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., waiting for scans, x-rays, and exams. And she's okay now, and she was so brave. And while we were waiting and waiting and waiting, she was playing a piano app on the iPad. The only thing I could think of at this point was, thank God I brought the iPad. This was the perfect moment for it. She was learning the piano while waiting for an x-ray. It could have been a tablet commercial. I knew right then at that moment I needed to change my approach on iDevices and my kids in my day-to-day life. It needed to be based on content and context. Now, regarding iDevices, I check every app they play. I limit the time, I supervise. I have the App Store password, they don't. And I play apps with them because I want to. Because I want to stay connected to my kids and to the things they love. And because now, on my device, I have amazing kids apps. This whole week was pretty crazy, trying to balance how much I teach and how much I learn from my kids. I felt a bit like Alice and her plastic ball. I was trying to build and maintain an ecosystem that is healthy for my family. And that ecosystem is the only way we could all keep connected. And I wanted to keep connected to my kids more than anything in this world. Recently, after another weekend at the countryside, I asked my youngest daughter a question. I asked her, Alice, did you have fun this weekend? What was your favorite? Swimming in the waves, riding your bike, or climbing the big tree? And she looked at me right in the eyes and said, Mom, I had so much fun this weekend. It was the best weekend ever. And what I enjoyed the most was eating chocolate ice cream. Kids.